Okay, so Board of Education, what's up? Listen, so now what's about to happen is JD Vance is going to speak before he swears in Pete Hegseth, and then Pete Hegseth is going to speak. I'm not going to play the whole thing. You can watch it. It's on the White House's YouTube channel. Very important to note that on the White House YouTube channel yesterday, the comment section, they was going crazy on Lloyd Austin, who was the Secretary of Defense, the first black Secretary of Defense in United States history. They were wilding on him, and they were wilding on Kamala Harris in the comment section. The comment section is no longer there, but they were saying stuff about J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth to the tone of now the White House looks presidential. J.D. Vance is so presidential. The last person could hardly even speak. All types of stuff that made no sense because Kamala Harris and Lloyd Austin have made history in the country. If you're unfamiliar with Lloyd Austin, he helped with the withdrawal in Afghanistan, the withdrawal in Iraq. He was the first black Secretary of Defense. I have notes. Why am I trying to go off the top? I have notes. He was the Central Command, and he also was command of an entire theater of war. If you're unfamiliar with a theater of war like I was, a theater of war is very important. Look it up. It doesn't end in RE like regular theater. It ends in ER. Look it up. I really, really, really want you to look it up. Another important thing to note is that this was a 50 to 51 vote, and 2 Democrats voted for Pete Hegseth. And those 2 Democrats are Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona. On the other hand, there were 3 Republicans that did not vote for Pete Hegseth, and those people are Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, Lisa Murkowski of Arkansas, and Susan Collins of Maine. So it was a 50 to 50 vote, actually, and then JD Vance was the deciding factor. I had to get that off before I played this whole video. Check it out. Hopefully things go right, but at this point, my optimism is very limited. I'm only going to stop the video one more time. Promise you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be here today and so thrilled to be able to swear in our new Secretary of Defense, and we are honored to have him. Now, before we do that, I have to say a few words of appreciation. First, of course, to the President of the United States for nominating a person who is respected and adored by the warfighters. This is the Secretary of Defense who will stand up for the men and women that we send overseas to fight our nation's wars. I think a lot of them feel that they haven't had somebody who's had their back. That will change because the President of the United States nominated this guy, and we are grateful to President Trump for doing so.
There's nothing on the internet that indicates that Lloyd Austin did not have the warfighters' backs, or that they did not respect
I also
him.
want to say thank you to my Senate colleagues. It turns out we couldn't spare one, and all of you did an incredible job. In particular, my dear friend Roger Wicker, thank you for shepherding Pete through the committee. Roger did a great job. And in addition, all of the members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, who I know gave Pete the vetting and the hearing that he deserved, and I'm glad that we all ultimately decided that the President's nominee for Secretary of Defense ought to be our actual Secretary of Defense, and we're here today. I'm going to say one final thing. If you look at what has separated President Trump from so many of the people who came before him, it is the view that, number one, we should be sparing in how we deploy our most precious resource, which is the men and women who are willing to put on the uniform and put their life on the line for this country. We shouldn't send them everywhere, But two, when we do send them anywhere, we ought to empower them with the tools necessary to fight and win quickly and come home afterwards. And that is what sets this administration apart, and that's what Pete Hegseth represents.
Yeah, number one, I don't disagree with a lot of the stuff that he's saying. And I do admit that he does look the part that people want him to look. But I also don't think that the last administration was insufficient, like they're trying to make it seem. And I think that needs to be highlighted. Also, I said I was only gonna stop the video one more other time, but that was just bothering me. So I'm gonna just get this off now and I'm gonna just let it play. At some point, Pete Hegseth is gonna bring his children up. And it's important to note that the children in this video are the only diversity.
Now, finally, I, of course, have to thank the nominee himself. Pete, thank you for being willing to put yourself out there. I think you've shown yourself a man of deep character and of resolve over the last few months.
Cap.
Jennifer, thank you for standing by, our new Secretary of Defense, and your beautiful family, from your kids to the extended family. You guys did a hell of a job. We're proud of you, and we're glad to have you in Washington as we work to make America great again. So with that, let me administer the oath of office. Kids, come on up.
Here go the kids.
Come on, guys.
I mean, there's diversity, but they're not diverse. But there's diversity in the room.
Put your hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat.
And at least he's touching the
after me.
Bible.
I'm
I'm going to skip
Hegseth.
over this.
I, Pete Hegseth, do solemnly swear. Mr. Secretary, say a few words.
All right, let's just get into what he says.
All praise and glory to God. His will be done, and we're grateful to be here. And as I said in my hearing, it was Jesus and Jenny. I would not be here without you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. I want to thank the President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. We could not have a better Commander-in-Chief than him. It is the honor of a lifetime, sir, to serve under you. We look forward to having the backs of our troops and having your back in executing peace through strength, in putting America first, and in rebuilding our military. Mr. Vice President, thank you for breaking the tie. It's not the last time, or not the first time, the headline reads, Junior Enlisted Marine bails out Junior Army Officer. And, you know, some people were saying, well, 50-50, that's too tight. And Senator Mark Wayne Mullen was nice enough to take my kids up to the gallery to watch the actual moment that the Vice President sealed the deal. And they came running in. They said, Dad, instead of being sad about 50-50, 51-50, they said, Dad, you won in overtime. That's the perspective I like. So thank you throughout this process, Mr. Vice President, for being incredible. I also want to thank the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. So many members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, we became fast friends in this process. The advice, the consent.
Yeah, I'm going to end it there. I just want to, this is for educational purposes only. This stuff is important. The votes of how he got there is the main thing that's important in this moment. That needs to be noted. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's 3 Republicans that did not vote for him. There's 2 Democrats that did vote for him. And the tiebreaker was the vice president, which is trash. Yeah. I don't like it. But we got to deal with it. There's other stuff going on too. Pay attention. Like, share, subscribe, do all of that great YouTube stuff, whatever. Yeah. Thank you.